I'd like to call this meeting to order. Pursuant to KRS 160.270, the Covington Board of Education has been called to a special meeting by Mr. Alvin L. Garrison, Secretary of the Board, upon petition of Sarah Flurledge, Chairman of the Board. The meeting will be held Thursday, September 15th, 2022 at 5:30 p.m. at the Covington Board of Education, 25 East 7th Street, Covington, Kentucky, 41011. The meeting will be streamed via teleconference at kyschools.us. The notice was provided to all news media and original copy was posted at the entrance of the school district administrative building on the date below. Discussion and action in this meeting will be limited to the items contained in this agenda. Becky, will you call roll?
Mr. Avery?
Here.
Mr. Gasright?
Here.
Mr. Haggard?
Here.
Ms. Huff?
Here.
Ms. Flurledge?
Here. All right, so we can jump right into our agenda item. We have Mr. Parsons here with us today. We are going to discuss the John R. Green payment of lieu of taxes, the pilot agreement.
Madam Chair and members of the board, first of all, thank you for setting the special meeting to consider this situation. We thought we had more time relative to this because we had an individual meeting with the board chair and the superintendent and the attorney last week. The concern we're having, as was expressed, is that the interest rates on this issue need to get locked, and we're concerned about rate adjustments and things that might be coming together. First of all, we want to set the stage here. We're not talking about a new pilot agreement. This is an existing project. These are not new bonds that are going to be issued by the city of Covington relative to this particular project. What happened in 2018, the city, 2019, the city of Covington issued industrial revenue bonds for this particular project. And it was based in the city, county, and school district, all three signed off on the pilot agreement, which is attached to the documentation you have relative to that. The project itself was actually in two different projects. There's actually, even though the bond structure covered both projects under one IRB lease, there were really two distinct projects. One being the new construction project, which is the construction of about 180 or so apartments with structured parking. And then there's a separate part of that project, which is the historic John R. Green project here. What we're dealing with tonight is the fact that to be able to, the part of the project is being sold to a third party, and that's the new construction project. And so to do that, we need to kind of separate the two projects completely relative to that. And in this particular situation, we're requesting that the city and county and school district authorize an assignment of the pilot agreement and the split of the pilot payments that are already set forth in the schedule between the two projects. The actual new construction project, because it's the much larger project, will pay about 95%. We'll pay 95% of the projected pilot, and the existing project, the historic project, would pay 5%. It will be the same schedule you have. And so in that regard, nothing's changed relative to the original pilot agreement that was done. In addition to that, even the pilot percentage, though, that was negotiated there, I will tell you, I know you had a good news about reducing of your tax rate this year. And the actual pilot payment actually was based upon a certain value and that higher rate. So that won't change. And so that rate doesn't change with this particular pilot. This is like the last pilot agreement that was done that was based upon a flat rate schedule relative to that. And then I provided some documentation to you relative to that. Just for your information, the Kenton County Fiscal Court approved the assignment of the pilot agreement a few weeks ago. And then last Tuesday night, the city authorized not just the assignment of the pilot agreement, the city as the issuer has to do a lot more. So they approved a new lease agreement. They approved, there's a new joinder to the mortgage on the property for the new lender. There's a lot of things the city did on Tuesday night. In fact, when the clerk was reading the order, it was probably the largest heading order she'd ever read because there was about 15 different things the city was authorizing Tuesday night at the meeting, but that has been done. I'm here to answer any questions for you about this particular situation. And again, because of this is important to my client to get this thing closed and move forward, they have offered an inducement to the Board of Education that would be due upon the closing of the transaction. And it will be right on the closing statement, the payment that's been reflected in a commitment letter that the school district has. And so in addition to that, I know that there's a number of, we have these discussions, there's a lot of discussion about partnerships and things. There is an existing tenant, a new tenant that's going to be coming into the historic building that's going to be doing the e-bike program in Covington and service the region. They are very much interested in partnering with the Board of Education on opportunities for job training, for employment, as well as even if it's possible to participate in education programs and things like that about environmental education and the importance of these type of this new trend that's going on. It's not caught on here as much, although I was at Tuesday night's meeting, the city meeting. I was fortunate or unfortunate enough to be behind all the individuals who were there to talk about the need for bike safety and bike lanes and stuff. So I heard a lot about the importance of bikes in the city of Covington. Again, I'll be glad to answer any questions you have, but really that's it. This doesn't change anything. If you actually deny this request, which we certainly hope we don't, it doesn't mean that the pilot structure goes away. All it means is that the sale of the project would probably fall apart, and the payment you're being offered would not be available at that time. So anyway, that's really what I have to offer. If you have any other questions, I'll be glad to answer.
Sure thing. I will open the floor. Who would like to start?
I will.
Okay.
In 2019, did they have any inkling that they was going to be selling off part of it?
It's not unusual on these that I don't think they necessarily intended to sell in 2019, but it isn't unusual for parts of these projects to be sold. Some of them have already been, they're in actually a couple of them that you approved previously have already sold. The Duveneck project, for instance, a few years ago sold, and you approved the assignment of that to that. So it's not something that's common, or it's not something that's all on their mind at that particular time, but it isn't a right that they have to on that situation. So.
All right. Any questions, comments, discussion? I believe that you covered anything that I was going to ask. I was going to ask about community commitment.
That's right.
I was going to ask about the nature of the business that was moving into the building. You already answered that with the e-bikes. Is there anything that you would like to add, Mr. Garrison?
No, I don't have any.
Mary Ann, is there anything that you would like to discuss?
I would just like to say that I have reviewed this, and we've had multiple discussions between myself and Mr. Parsons. I think I recommend that the board agree to the assignment. I think it's, as Mr. Parsons said, it's more an enhancement of an existing pilot, and I think it's appreciated that inducement is there, and I think gives us also this opportunity for a partnership.
I thought of a question I might have.
Yes, Mr. Castro.
And I don't know that you know the answer to this, Mr. Parsons, but do you know if there was an enticement on the Duveneck Square?
There was not.
There was not.
No,
So this is something that we have approved in the past without the enticement.
That's
Correct.
right. Actually,
That is
I will say in past deals, there's never even been an issue. It's just
Right.
been approved. So.
I mean, it seems incredibly generous, I think, to have the enticement. And again, with the partnership question, I think it seems like the client is open to further partnering with us. So I think that's also very, I guess I'm optimistic about that. So
I agree.
that's my only comment.
Anything more?
No question here. I just wanted to state for the record how appreciative I am of our board attorney, Marion Stewart. I think she's done a lot of great work on this deal. And I know she's had to hear from all of us on different things and kind of had to put that all into a strategy. So I just wanted to go on record and say I really do appreciate all your hard work on this. Thank you.
Yeah, plus me, she was here. We work together very well on these things, and so relative to that, in fact, it was the amount they issued the additional inducement. It actually came from Mary Ann as a way to possibly move this forward. So
Sure.
This number, 130,000. How did you come up with that?
it was no real magic here on that. What happened is that we had originally talked to Mary Ann, and we had made an offer of 75,000, and she said that she called back and said, "Can you sweeten it?" We basically at that point increased that offer to 100,000, and then but at the same time we offered the e-bikes as a $25,000 worth of e-bikes. We had a meeting with the last week, and basically that they felt that the chair and Mary Ann, even the superintendent, felt that the e-bikes were not really, it's nice to have, but it was not something that would be a real inducement. So what we did is basically increase that amount to $130,000.
So if I'm understanding this correctly, 130,000 plus our yearly payment.
That's correct. Yeah. So when actually in October, when this closes, you'll get a separate $130,000 payment, plus you'll get the pilot payment you'll be entitled to also.
Can you tell that we're learning from each pilot that we do?
I am too. So, I am too. So
Okay.
Cool.
We will not be making any sort of decision tonight. This will be going,
Thought
is
you
that
were
You're
correct?
gonna
Oh, we
approve
are
tonight. Yeah.
approving
Yeah,
tonight?
we just need, yeah, that's why we're having a
Oh, okay.
special meeting.
I thought maybe it was going on the next agenda. Is that,
Yeah,
what I
because they
thought too.
need the decision tonight,
okay?
so we
so
can lock
that-
in the rates.
because the rates are they expect the rates to go up the 21st, 22nd,
that's right.
somewhere in there.
So that's the whole purpose of
Okay.
it. So,
Mary Ann, you have anything?
Annette? Mhm.
Annette, you have anything to say?
Are we comfortable in
Mhm.
moving this to an approval item, or do we need to move it to an approval item? It's just,
Is it on as action?
It
Well, it
says-
doesn't say action or.
it says discussion
it says-
and action
Yeah.
at this meeting.
Okay.
Okay, so we can just move this to
Yeah.
approve. If we're ready.
I move to approve the, sorry, I don't have the language in front of me, but the
So,
approval
yeah,
of the
I'll give you the
pilot.
motion.
Okay.
Motion to approve the assignment agreement for the assignment of the pilot along with the letter of understanding.
subject to the letter of the-
Subject. Yeah.
So moved.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Becky?
Mr. Gashrite,
Yes.
Mr. Haggard,
Yes.
Mr. Avery,
Yes.
Ms. Huff,
Yes.
Ms. Furlage.
Yes.
I really do appreciate this. I know it's unusual to have a special meeting, but we're in strange times with these interest rates and these things, and we really do. I can't tell you how appreciative I am of the support the Board of Education has. I know you often don't get the accolades when these projects are being ribbon cuttings and all kinds of stuff, but you should be there because your contribution is critical to make these things happen. I can tell you that, and I've always said that. So,
Well, thank
appreciate
you.
Really appreciate your support.
Thank you.
We
I
are
appreciate
looking
your-
forward to working with your client. We can't wait to see what kinds of partnership that we can have with them. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Anything
All right.
else for the good of the cause?
No.
Do I have a consensus? Do you have something?
No,
Oh,
it's
okay.
time to adjourn.
All right. Consensus to adjourn, 5:45.
Yeah.
So be it.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Jim.